Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's third video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days for today's third video, which will take us to around the 10th of December. We'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles. They run to around a couple of weeks. We'll have a look at the CFS at the end of the video, which takes us towards the end of December. We go just beyond Christmas with that. Talking of Christmas, we're going to have your 13th Christmas update coming up this evening. That'll be around 7 o'clock. It's a very busy day at Gaz Libraries today. We started off with the third and final season model roundup of the winter 2019-2020, getting all of long range models together for the final time this season. There's around 14 of them in with that one, and we've seen what they're all showing for the winter. That, of course, is ahead of tomorrow's winter forecast, and also weekend forecast released today, as always on a Saturday. Got your week ahead look ahead. Going to be busy tomorrow as well. Winter forecast, as I just said, is on the way, and I think we've got Terry Scott's December forecast tomorrow. There'll be a live stream on YouTube tomorrow as well, between 5 and 6 o'clock, talking about that winter forecast. That's the final scheduled live stream for the time being. Before I do anything else, though, just to say that if you've been enjoying the videos lately, please consider becoming a patron for Gaz Libraries. We have 67 patrons so far, so hello and a big thank you to our 67 patrons. We very much hope that you're enjoying the content that we're producing for you at Gaz Libraries. So if you'd like to become a patron for Gaz Libraries and help support the website and keep content online, all you need to do is come to Gaz Libraries' Patreon page, sign up for a Patreon account, and then you can pledge an ongoing monthly donation to Gaz Libraries. It can be anything from $1 a month upwards. You will pool in with all of the other patrons, and big thank you to all of Gaz Libraries patrons for doing that. As I say, you're helping us to pay the website and keep the content online. We're hoping we might be able to get 70 patrons by Christmas. Not sure we'll be able to do that, but it would be very nice if we could. Alternatively, you can become a donor to Gaz Libraries if you are enjoying the content that we're producing at the moment. So if you would like to do that, just come to Gaz Libraries' PayPal page, you sign in to your PayPal account, and then give a donation to Gaz Libraries however much you want, and again, that'll be helping us to pay for GazLibraries.com and keep content online. So a big thank you to all of our donors as well. You're going to get a mention in the video, whether you do it through Patreon or PayPal. We'll give you a shout out, say thank you so much for doing that, as long as you want one. And if you'd rather stay anonymous, then just leave a little note with your donation. We will email you anyway to check that you want to mention before we give you that shout out in the video. So you get an email from us and saying thank you and asking how you'd like your mention. But if you would like to stay anonymous, and a few people have chosen to do that, then you just need to, all you need to do with that is just leave a little note and let us know. So you might want to mention for your business or for your website. We've done that for a few people, gone off to different websites and flagged those up. So again, it's however you want that mention, and we're very happy to do that for you. So a big thank you to all of our donors, a big thank you to all of our patrons. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Right, so we're going to start off with the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts for Penn State University for the next week to 10 days. It's taking us to the 10th of December. So blue is extrapolating to below average heights, which is low pressure. Yellow, orange and red extrapolate to above average heights, which is high pressure. Got the ECMWF here on the top, and the GFS, which you'll have a look at in a moment, is on the bottom. 500 millibars is an area in the atmosphere where high pressure and low pressure are being moved around by the jet stream. Red extrapolates high pressure, blue to low pressure. So look what the ECM is doing in the 7 to 10 day time frame. Is placing a trough of below average heights over Scandinavia to the north and northeast of the country. We've also got some low pressure in the Atlantic, the jet stream. He's doing something a bit like that. So we're putting down some quite cold air from the north, but we have basically got a westerly jet stream, although we're just about on the cold side of that jet stream. It looks rather cold and unsettled, really, that, as we're going into the second week of the month. The GFS looks like this. It's based on the midnight run of the GFS. The 6 o'clock run is rather different. I'm going to show you both of them in a moment. But the midnight run of the GFS was quite cold around day 10, with quite a deep trough of low pressure across the northern parts of Europe, and of course this mid-Atlantic ridge going up towards Greenland. So that's more of a northerly type influence compared to what the ECM is showing at that time frame. As I say, that's quite cold and even rather wintry around day 10, and that's based on the midnight GFS run. I'm going to show you that in a moment, and then we'll compare it to the 6 o'clock run. I think both models, GFS and the ECM, are definitely playing around with the chance of a cold snap through the second week of December, and this could be sort of setting up to coincide somewhere around the general election day, actually, around the 12th, sort of 10th to 12th to 13th. That sort of time frame. So we might have a rather interesting general election here from a weather perspective, if nothing else, because there may be some wintry weather for people to contend with if they want to vote. It's sort of a little way off, but I would imagine that a lot of the politicians will be sort of keeping a close eye on this. But definitely there are hints within the model output that around this sort of period, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th December, there may be something a little bit wintry happening. So we shall see, and I'm going to talk you through the 6 o'clock and midnight GFS runs, well as the ECM and the GM, very shortly. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. I'm at Huddersfield. Today, this is another suggested location for this section of the video, of course. So if you'd like to have your local town or city featured within this part of the video, then all you need to do is let us know through the comments at Galswebins, or you can ask us via our social media, Facebook and Twitter accounts, or you can email galswebins@gmail.com, and we're happy to feature your local town or city within this part of the video. I have quite a long list, so it will take us a little while to get round to you, but we will get round to everybody's local town or city in the end. Now, red line here is a 30-year upper air temperature average for Huddersfield. We're starting off cold and average at the moment. Going to stay cold for the rest of the weekend and start of next week. Then gradually the upper air temperatures lift up. So by the middle of next week, in the second half of next week, it goes actually milder than average with the upper air temperatures. It will take a while to realise that those mild temperatures down on the surface. Won't happen until the air gets stirred up, because of course we're in an area of high pressure through much of next week. So until the air gets stirred up by the wind, it'll be a case of an inversion, really, which is where it's warm aloft but cold on the surface. Eventually, by the second half of next week, we will stir up the air enough to be able to realise that temperature potential. So it does turn quite mild for a while at the end of next week. Not long, though, before the temperatures are falling away next weekend. And actually, the second week of December, which is this period just here, going to the middle part of the month, looks quite cold, I have to say. It looks like we go below average now with the GFS ensembles, and turning more unsettled too. So we're in for a prolonged dry spell for the next week, but by the time we get through to the end of next week and into next weekend, definitely turning more unsettled with rainfall spikes returning. And then it looks like we go off into a very unsettled spell, actually, as we get into the second week of December, move up to the middle of the month. Plenty of rainfall spikes in there. So if you are fed up with the rain, I would suggest you make most of the next week, because it looks like by the second week of December, the rain is coming back. And of course, if this was to coincide with a cold snap, as we think there is a possibility, sometime, say, around the 10th to 12th of December, with precipitation involved too, there would be perhaps a growing risk of some snow as we go into the second week of December. So that could be turning out to be quite an interesting period through that second week of the month, moving up to mid-December. Temperature anomalies from the 30th of November to the 8th of December, a little bit colder than average. That's mainly down to night frost, and primarily for England and Wales too. But it is a rather chilly week coming up. Precipitation anomalies drier than average still from the 30th of November to the 8th of December. So we have got a nice respite from the rain. And yes, it is going to be a drier but slightly cooler than average week ahead. Right, so this is that midnight run of the GFS then. We're starting on Tuesday under an area of high pressure that's keeping us mostly dry and cold. It's a little bit milder though for Scotland with those southwesterly winds. That ridge hangs around through the middle part of the week and then gradually gets eroded by the end of next week. This is how the air gets stirred up. By Friday, notice the isobars are tightening across the country. That's the winds picking up, so it's going to become quite windy at the end of next week. But that will stir up the air, and so we will lift up the temperature temperature. They're already mild a lot, but it takes a while to get back down to the surface unless you stir the air up with some wind, and that's exactly what we're doing there. Now, we go into next weekend, low pressure moves over towards Norway, and we start to pull down quite a cold and showery northwesterly wind. That's how we look as we get to the 8th of December. By that point, we've got another low pressure trying to come in from the Atlantic, but it's running in to quite cold air. And so there's a bit of a stall of that low pressure taking place, where the front is sort of strung out in that sort of position. On the northern side of that front, there could be some snow, actually, as early as next weekend. So that will be primarily across Scotland. Elsewhere, we'd be looking at quite a bit of cold rain next weekend. Now, that low pressure clears away to the east by Tuesday the 10th. This is day 10, of course. And then we start to open the floodgates to these cold north to northeasterly winds. And they will bring wintry showers with them, increasingly falling as snow, even to low levels across the northern parts of the country. That's Wednesday the 11th of December, looking cold with a sort of northeasterly wind. And we have got little troughs of low pressure close to us as well. That will pep up the shower potential, so you wouldn't rule out the chance of some snow showers almost anywhere there with that solution. Now, this is Thursday the 12th, and there's just a little area of low pressure that's developing across the northern parts of France. And, of course, it's coming up into cold air that's been pulled in from the northeast. That would be, the potential anyway, would be to get a bit of snow from that. And it would even be down in the south and the southeast. It's a long way off. It's 300 hours away. So very, very extended range and unreliable. But it's just a suggestion that things could be a little bit wintry around this general election, which of course is the problem with holding a general election in December, and it's probably the reason that there hasn't been a general election in December since 1923, because the weather obviously is prone to being quite nasty. So anyway, there's a chance of something a little bit cold wintry happening around there. We move up to the middle of December and we start to move low pressure back in from off the Atlantic. So that starts to turn things milder by the time we get through to the end of the GFS run, which is Monday the 16th of December, turning things milder. But there is a Scandinavian high lurking up to our northeast. So it's actually a bit of a battle going on here between low pressure coming in from the Atlantic and high pressure over Scandinavia trying to bring in easterly winds. That's all about on my off. It's over 2 weeks away. But the chart's looking quite interesting as we move up towards the middle of December, and let's not say any more than that. This will be a 6 o'clock GFS run. So that's a midnight run. This is the latest, as I'm doing a video at 2:30. This is the 6 o'clock GFS run, starting on Tuesday, again, under high pressure, bringing lots of dry, but potentially quite cold, maybe foggy weather. Through to the end of next week, we begin to stir up the atmosphere, so wind freshens, temperatures lift up, but we start bringing rain, particularly to northern and western parts of the country. That's next weekend. Here comes that cold and showery northwesterly wind, and then low pressure moves in from off the Atlantic into that cold air. Suggestion of a little bit of a stall taking place on that low. Again, there's a weather front that's really struggling to push in. Probably brings rain to England and Wales, but as the low hits the cold air further north next weekend, wouldn't rule out chance of some snow. That's Monday the 9th. The low then is moving over into the Low Countries and Germany, with pulling wind in from the north to northeast. So everything up to this point is in agreement with the midnight GFS run, really. But then just beyond that, instead of maintaining that cold north-northeasterly, we start to re-establish a milder westerly. This is Tuesday the 10th, day 10. Milder air begins to move back in from off the Atlantic, and we turn very unsettled then as we move up to the middle part of the month. This is Thursday the 12th of December again. This is general election day. This time we're looking wet and windy with gale force winds to Scotland and heavy rain driving in from off the Atlantic. And then we finish up with this GFS run on Monday the 16th of December with low pressure centred over the top of the country. That will bring showers or longer spells of rain, and it's reasonably mild at this point as well. So in the extended range beyond day 10, this 6 o'clock GFS run is a little bit milder than the midnight GFS run. GM looks like that, cold and frosty on Tuesday for most parts of the country, away from Scotland, and then through course next week the high pressure gets broken down. We go into milder, wetter, windier conditions by the end of next week. Into next weekend there's those cold, showery northwesterly winds for Saturday, but then the next low is moving in on Sunday, bringing a return of wet weather back to northerly winds by Monday the 9th. And then that's Tuesday the 10th with low pressure desperately trying to come in from off the Atlantic. You see, this second week of December December is definitely shaping up to be more unsettled compared to the first week of December. All models are in agreement about that. And then the ECMWF shows a lot of dry weather as we start this period on Tuesday, particularly for England and Wales, cold, dry and frosty. High pressure hangs around into the middle of next week and then gets broken down as it turns milder, wetter and windier at the end of the week into the weekend. We go rather cold and showery and then wet and windy on Sunday, the 8th of December. This is Monday the 9th, again looking quite wet and windy, and then the low pressure exits away to the east on Tuesday the 10th, turns the winds into the north, and that brings some colder air in from the north, probably with wintry showers in northern and eastern parts of the country. Whether that northerly will be maintained then beyond that, or whether we would just roll in these next areas of low pressure, that would remain to be seen, of course. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10, which is the 9th of... no, it's not. It's going to be the 10th of December. So that's a day 10 chart. So these options are on the table for day 10, which is the 10th of December. We have 18 members of the ECM ensembles. It's from the Icelandic Met Office, of course, that look very unsettled. Low pressure is over the country, unleashing the jet stream. They're wet and windy. 15, including the ECM control run, that have some ridging out to our southwest. And bringing sort of westerly winds, so that's a reasonably mild solution at day 10. And not overly unsettled either way from Scotland. Another 10 just here, though, or 10 just here, including the ECM operational run. That's the run we've just been talking about, with low pressure to our east and bringing down cold northerly winds at day 10. And then 8, again, have low pressure to our north and east with a ridge in the middle of the Atlantic, and they're bringing cold north or northeasterly winds. So it's 18 versus 18 and 15, which are cold. So it's 10 and then 8, which is 18 just there, which are colder, and then 18 and 15, which are going for something a little bit milder at day 10. Quite a bit of uncertainty, therefore, at day 10. I mean, in 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. This is the 15th of December, so we have 19 members of the ECM ensembles that are building up a Scandinavian high. We have high pressure up here towards Scandinavia, with low pressure setting up to the south, and they'll be bringing in a cold easterly wind. Maybe even, dare I say it, a bit wintry there for the middle of December with those 19 ECM operational runs, and that does include, with those 19 ECM ensemble members, that does include the ECM control run as well, interestingly. 17 just here, but are very unsettled with low pressure over the country, and then another 15 but are very unsettled with low pressure over the country slightly to the west. So by the time you get through to 2 weeks out, middle of December, it looks like the ECM ensembles are favouring very unsettled conditions, but there is a significant minority that are building up a Scandinavian high and turning things quite a lot colder for middle of December. Finally, the CFSV2 looks like this. These are 500 millibar heights broken down into week periods. The first week period will take us from the 30th of November to the 6th of December. The coming week is cold, with high pressure centred over the top of the country, away from Scotland, where it does turn a bit milder by Monday or Tuesday. Most places cold, dry, frosty, and potential for some freezing fog. All change for week 2, which is the 7th to the 13th of December. We move the high pressure out into the middle of the Atlantic and set up a mid-Atlantic ridge with a trough of low pressure over Scandinavia. So this is cold and unsettled stuff here for week 2. This is a change on what the CFS was showing, I think, even as early as yesterday, really. So definitely looking a bit colder and unsettled there for the second week of December, with a trough of low pressure over Scandinavia and a mid-Atlantic ridge. Week 3 is the 14th to the 20th of December. Low pressure there in a more conventional position, really, around Greenland and Iceland. So winds are turning into west, still very unsettled but milder as winds are coming in off the Atlantic. And then week 4, which of course is covering Christmas, is the 21st of December to the 27th, builds up an area of high pressure to the south. So strengthens the Azores high and ridges it into France, with low pressure pushed out towards Greenland and Iceland. Jet stream rises north, and then sink south across the east of Europe. So that will bring a wintry Christmas to the eastern and southeastern part of Europe. Maybe some snow somewhere like Greece. There's definitely the risk anyway around the Black Sea. For us, though, the winds will be swinging into west-southwest, and that would be a traditionally mild, potentially even very mild Christmas, but probably wet up in the north. That's week 4, of course, so it is within the unreliable time frame of the CFS. The whole of the CFS is pretty unreliable at the best of times, but the 4th week is the most unreliable of all. More reliably is the next week to 10 days, so we're definitely going to get some drier and colder weather. We've already got it, we're going to keep it for the next few days. We'll gradually turn milder through next week. It won't be until the latter stages of next week, though, that the south turns milder. Further north, it'll turn milder earlier. By the end of next week, we're all milder and more unsettled. Not for long, though. Next weekend looking quite cold and unsettled. And then we've got these question marks about the second week of December, which, of course, as I said, does include the election as well. There are the hints and suggestions of potential for some quite cold and maybe even wintry weather around this second week of December. But whether it comes to anything, have to wait and see. We could finish up with quite a lot of cold rain. I think it's definitely going to go more unsettled into the second week of December. Definitely looks more unsettled. It's just how cold will it be with those unsettled conditions? That's the unknown. Right, so that's it for this video. Now we'll be back at 7 o'clock with your latest Christmas update. That's update number 13. Don't forget to check out that season 1 roundup, winter of 2019-2020. That's ahead of tomorrow's winter forecast. So the winter forecast will be released tomorrow at 10 a.m. at gazweathers.com. It'll be placed on winter updates page sometime in the evening with a written summary for anyone who can't watch the video. We've also got Terry Scully's December forecast tomorrow, and there'll be a live stream on YouTube between 5 and 6 o'clock tomorrow. It's the last scheduled live stream for this season, and we're going to be discussing that winter forecast, and I'll be taking as many of your questions about that winter forecast as I can. So this big weekend of updates continues at Gazweathers. Next video up will be the Christmas update. That's all for now, though, and thanks for watching.